So the new Mac Pro pricing and availability came out yesterday, and what's the first thing that we all did? Well, we go to the configure page, we pretty much hit every box and option possible, and then we wanted to see the total price. And that's exactly what everyone took to Twitter and other social platforms to not only complain about, but also just kind of have a general jaw-dropping moment of realizing that maxed out this computer costs over 52,000 US dollars. And if you're in another country, well, I'm sorry. And the second thing we learned yesterday is the fact that Marquez and Justine and a handful of others have been using them the past couple weeks and lying to us. That really hurt. And while I realize the title is a super generalized statement and you may not share this opinion, I do want to share why the general public is wrong about why it's so outrageous that this thing costs $52,000 and why the ones that most people are going to buy are not going to cost anywhere near that. So pretty much every computer that you can buy, you can configure, whether before purchase or after purchase, to put in basically the configuration that you want. When the 2013 trash can came out, everyone complained about the lack of customizability to it, the fact that you couldn't put in third-party hardware, and even first-party hardware was near impossible. You couldn't update the GPUs after the fact, at least not easily. The processor could be changed, but you had to take the entire thing apart. So Apple took their sweet time redesigning the computer and basically brought back a more traditional shape, essentially, of a custom PC type builders friendly computer. And of course everyone knew it was going to be expensive, especially once they dropped the specs of what this computer can actually do. Everyone always focuses on the max numbers because generally with computers or devices that are priced more respectively, we always talk about the top tier level. We talk about the iPhone 11 Pro Max, we talk about the AirPods Pro. Everything is always the top level machine. Very rarely do we focus too much attention on what is actually a good spec for ourselves. And the other thing that really hurts our perspective is, and it's no personal attack towards them, is the YouTubers and tech articles that, again, focus and get their hands on the higher spec machines. Whether they bought it personally, whether Apple gives it to them, it doesn't really matter. The fact is that we are seeing people who are relatively our age or who we aspire to, and it seems reachable. It's like, oh, well, they have that computer, therefore, like, I should have that computer. And it creates this like super jealous tension and just unreasonable expectation that they or we need that computer, even though, like Jonathan Morrison said,
real talk, this machine is beyond what most of us need, and I throw myself at the front of that list.
But that's pretty much marketing 101, and that's how you get to be the first $1 trillion company. And so now getting into the people who should and will be buying that $52,000 computer is pretty much Pixar, Disney, and anyone in the science and AI sort of community who need to do just outrageously computations for, I don't know, Boston Dynamics is gonna have like 10 of these. Like, we're just gonna see like the next Atlas robot with just like a Mac Pro in its chest, and that's gonna be the version that takes over the world. When I think about the level of, you know, how much better is this computer going to get, there is definitely a point of diminishing return. Now, personally, if you were to ask me, okay, hey, you don't have unlimited money, because then obviously everyone would just choose the highest spec one. But if you had to pick the perfect spec for you that was like reasonable, then mine would be around $9,000. It's basically the base model upgraded to the 12 core because the 8 core has a lower clock speed for RAM, and in the future, you know, that'd be fine for now, but I don't want to limit myself towards the future. And then I would take the basics graphics card, which is 8 gigs, so still twice as much and a much better graphics card than is what's in mine. And I'd probably go for the 32 gig HMB2 whatever option, which is basically just one step up. By the way, the weird noises you may hear in the background, that's the baby. Hi. While talking about this, we're forgetting that Apple has finally made a computer that we've all been asking for, a computer that we can upgrade after the fact. Again, the only negative thing that I've heard is, like I mentioned before, if you buy the 8 core, the true base model one, then you are limiting yourself to the speed of RAM that it can take. And if you don't go with the crazy 24 to 48, 24 and 36 core, no, 24 24 and 28 core. The top 2 core spec machines, if you don't go with those, then you can't go all the way up to 1.5 terabytes of RAM. But so I can definitely understand knocking the true base model, maybe getting that 12 core, and then not really changing much else because the RAM upgrades from Apple are crazy expensive. But pretty much every port they're using is a standard port. It's not like they made some custom Apple proprietary RAM. They're PCIe slots that you can put a regular GPU in. Now, of course, the list of GPUs that you can use on a Mac system is a lot shorter. You can't just throw anything in there, but you can buy it third party. Or even if you want to stick to the best, apples to apples, first party Apple modules, you can buy those separately. So you could buy the base unit however you want, nothing is soldered in there, and then go to Apple's website at any point and just order those extra graphics modules, the Afterburner card, and then even Pegasus has a 32 terabyte RAID setup for like $2,200, which really good pricing. Now, finding this was a little difficult at first, but once you know it, it actually makes logical sense. Basically, all you have to do is go to apple.com, you go Mac, you search accessories, and then there's a new section for Mac components. And in here, you'll find everything that's available for the Mac Pro. What I did find interesting is currently, at least, you can't see the SSD options, as well as there's another page that Apple has created, which has created some fantastic instructions for upgrading the different modules yourselves. And under the SSD, it does say that you need to contact Apple in order to do that. So I don't know exactly where the SSD is, but it does sound like it's not in a very easy to upgrade spot, which is kind of confusing because on the Mac Pro, that's like the one thing that is super easy. But anything that involves the PCIe slots, the RAM slots, even the power supply, they have instructions for how to replace it if it breaks, or replace it to then upgrade it and install a newer version. They also have 2 new graphics cards already on the coming soon, and this is truly the first time that Apple has kind of seemed really open about, hey, these are our plans, these are the graphics cards we're working on implementing into this system. They have documentation on if you're using Windows in Boot Camp. These are the graphics cards that will work and not work. They're really doing as much as they can to help out the professionals who will be using these computers. So all in all, yes, the computer maxed out is over $52,000, which all the jokes have been made. Down payment on a house, Tesla Cybertruck is cheaper, but I saw a tweet that really is fitting, and I'll try to throw it up or link to the original poster if I can find it. But if not, it basically went something like this. Professional video equipment is expensive, professional audio equipment is expensive, exotic cars are expensive, premium houses are expensive. Basically anything professional is expensive. You're gonna make way more than that using the computer to create things for jobs that are paying you X amount of dollars. So what do you guys think about the new Mac Pro? Let me know down in the comments below. Do you still hate it? Do you love it? Are you getting one? Which spec would you go with? And while you're down there, give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already, and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any videos. And I'll see you guys in the next one.